Welcome to Happy Today podcast. This is a podcast for those who want to improve service experience of internal services. If you use ServiceNow or other enterprise service management system, then this is for you.
All right, welcome to this episode of Happy Today podcast. Today I'm joined by Oscar Berg, old colleague at Tieto, and it's funny that some of the colleagues there, we left and we set up our own companies, and everybody is somehow working around employee experience and bringing happiness and joy and that kind of things into the work life. So welcome, Oscar. Maybe a short introduction of who you are and what are your passions?
Thanks a lot, Pasi. I'm Oscar Berg and from Sweden, located in the south of Sweden, where I live with my family and a lot of kids. I have 6 kids, and also, as you mentioned, I run my own business in this area of digital employee experience and digitalization. And one of my passions has always been to solve problems for people. Like the thing that attracted me to technology in the first place was to design solutions that help simplify people's lives. So that's been kind of the theme throughout my career. Although in the start of my career, no one was really interested in usability and interaction design or anything. So that was just a cost. But nowadays it's more like it's a strategic thing for companies. If they don't understand it yet, it will become strategic, but those that are successful, they know that it's strategic, that human-centered design is key to succeed.
Yeah.
So that's basically if there's a thin red line throughout my career, it's the human experience.
All right. And you're a speaker in events, facilitator, but also an author. So there's a couple of books that have been coming out. First one is The Superpowering People. That's one you have been writing on designing collaborative digital organizations.
Yeah.
And then the second one, which I thought we kind of take the theme around today, is the digital workplace strategy and design. And kind of the tagline there is a step-by-step guide to an empowering employee experience. And you wrote it also with Henrik Gustafsson.
Yeah, that's a longtime friend of mine and a colleague as well, and we were colleagues, all of us at Tieto, which is also a funny coincidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because you're mentioning employee experience, so how do you define what is employee experience to you? What does it mean?
Yeah, to me, it's basically if you look at the customer experience, it's the equivalent when it comes to the employee. All the interactions we have with our employees or employments or workplace through over time. So it's sort of the sum of that experience, and it might be different it is different from one person to another, and it also depends on your past experiences. So if you're new to a company, you might experience something completely different because things have changed.
True.
So it's that also implies that it can be hard to change the experience because you might have lost trust or you have a lot of negative things to undo to keep people or make people happy and engaged at work.
Yeah. I think something that you'd call maybe related to this is a user experience depth that companies might start to kind of gather.
Exactly, especially like when it comes to the digital employee experience and all the tools we use and the systems we use, and I can't think of any organization that I've worked with where it's not a mess, where it's like where it's not hasn't organically sort of developed into something that is not orchestrated or aligned. It's a chaotic environment, and that creates sort of. And I used the analogy of like if you don't clean the dishes after dinner, just the pile just adds up.
Yeah. All right.
And that's how it feels at work for me.
All right. And I guess you're talking then about digital transformation. I guess that's what what companies do when they try to start fixing things. I saw this study from McKinsey stated that 70% of digital transformation projects fail. Is that because people kind of treat them as tech project and not like some journey or something like a continuous thing that you need to do? How do you see digital transformation?
I said the main problem or like the reason why this happened is that they don't really understand that value is created when you use something. Like if it's not useful, if it's not attractive to use, if it's not a good experience, you will be inclined to use it less or not at all, and then the value will not be created. So I think it's a tech focus or focus on delivering something, not like an output of a project, not creating outcomes in business.
Yeah, it's just the implementation of some tech or platform, but not really
exactly
what is the outcome of
and this project is successful when it's delivered on time and budget.
Yes.
On specification, but like it doesn't measure value or impact in the business.
Got it. And then you talk about also a little bit on the problems that lie in the digital work environments. So there's like 6 or 7 that you mentioned, but what do you think are the main categories where you kind of what the problems might be? This is not another test that you remember your own book, but
I talk a lot about it. It's good that you don't make me mention all like 7 or 6.
but let's say currently, like in the current situation, what is the main issue?
The main issue, as I see it, is the complexity. That there's a lot of things that unnecessary complexity, things that sort of add cognitive load on you as a user. That you have to remember things from one system to another, or you have to remember where you store certain things. So it's sort of, it adds a cognitive load on you, and at the same time you get more and more pressure to work faster and with more people and so forth. So that means that productivity decreases. So if there's one theme, it's complexity.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I think for the rest of them, people can read from the book and find it. But I totally agree with you that as well. Seeing when talking with customers and seeing the different organization, that we just try to make it always so complex that it's
like, even if you give them like, if you like show them this great tool, they would say not another tool, because it's not the tool itself. They might love it, but it's that they have all the others and they don't like it's all being piled up.
Then you have some kind of principles when people start to think about, okay, let's start to improve things. So where to start? What should be the principles to guide people in the journey?
I divide these principles into 2 categories, so to speak. One is like principles that guide us how we should think, what we should focus on, like users, creating value, seeing the big picture. Then I advocate for principles that are more about how to work, because I think I strongly believe that the way to solve this is to change how we work, not like starting projects, buying solutions, trying to fix things with solutions and then just letting it go, but change how we work. So establish a ongoing process where we can sort of gradually increase improve the employee experience, working together, co-creating, working iteratively, making things concrete, testing, evaluating. So I think the key is in the process.
And I think that's something that in big companies it gets so complex, so people feel that there are so many silos that the only thing that they might be able to concretely touch is the technology. But for example, when we are like starting a startup and you're adding people, it's like first you just need to have the people, then you need to create processes, and then maybe for scaling purposes you get tech. But otherwise you just need to first figure out what is the best way of working and what is best for the employee so that they get their stuff done as well. A lot of the listeners are working on service management, and I guess services are really important part of what people use at work. So how to create perfect services, or kind of what do you think are the basics when thinking about digital services? Because the people working with service management, they might not have any background on actually setting up services or thinking what is a service.
Yeah, this is I think this comes back to when we once met like it's 8-9 years ago. The theme, like the common denominator for us, was service design. And also focus towards inwards support towards the employee. So but it's really about service design. What are the foundation? What is the foundation of service design? To build empathy, to understand the user, the situations the user finds himself or herself in, and what needs and the circumstances that define those situations, and learning to use the tools to get that understanding, to get feedback, to observe users. I think that is really the competence or skill that we need to teach ourselves and others in organizations, and definitely for anyone providing. We all provide services to each other, so I think that would, like, if you apply service thinking to all levels of an organization, that will also make sure that we improve the impact and outcomes of what we do.
And then about strategy. So I think the importance of strategy, but I think you have a very practical approach also, because sometimes when people tell about strategy, it's something that now we do it and then we don't touch it. But I think it should be something more agile and more alive. But still guiding, because you might have in a large organization multiple teams, you have vendors, you have partners who should have a focus on what they are doing.
I really don't believe in strategy in terms of like running a project or even hiring a consultant to do the strategy for you, and it ends up as a presentation or a document somewhere. To me, strategy is a process. It's something like we need to have this long-term vision and principles to guide us, even though we at the same time work with like operational technical things. We need to have this, so we need to have a process which is really co-creative and agile, a strategy process that sort of helps us go up and down to the principles, down to the things that we're doing every day, so basically I advocate the same principles for a strategy as I just told you, like iterative ways of working and co-creation. And this is also something you should, of course, use digital technology to scale. Not just doing it in a room or like in a bunch of people sitting in a closed room and create a strategy without being in touch with the reality and other people.
All right, and I guess the components that you have for building a strategy, I think it's like you need to understand where you are, and I guess you have a tool you call Digital Workplace Canvas. Is that something that you use nowadays as well, or has that evolved?
I use it sometimes, not always. It's like these tools that we use it, like there's a lot of tools in this tool set that we use whenever relevant, and I think the canvas is a good. It's like other canvases. The purpose is not to show everything; it's to provide an overview, to get to create something that you can see and work with together. Although you like bring people who otherwise might not share a common view to create a common view and discuss how things relate without getting into details. So that's like the business model canvas. Like, why are we here? What customers do we have? And what should we offer, and so forth.
Yeah. All right. Then I need to be a little bit selfish.
Sure.
So what we do, of course, we provide happiness and productivity measurement for the services. How important do you see this that you actually measure continuously the experiences of the services, so that you have that data transparently for everybody to show, or why would you measure?
Yeah, good question. I'm just kidding. It's a good question. I think it's obvious. It should be obvious. How can you improve? How can you know what if you're successful or not? If you don't measure, if you don't collect feedback, how can you learn? It's to me, it's like should go without saying. But I understand we have this history where we haven't cared about this.
Yeah.
We just we just introduce stuff and hope that things will improve without.
And like you said, I think I think you said earlier, it's like you measure like the process, the project schedule and budget and time.
Yeah.
But
not the impact.
Yeah.
Like not the important stuff. You measure. I've been a project manager before, and I was
me too.
appreciated by often the customer, but not by the other project managers, because I wasn't really good at like reporting to the budget or whatever, but I cared about the results.
Yeah. I think when Agile came, I was also a project manager at that point, and that was the time when because then we were just like having these small iterations and could show the value all the time. What are you doing? Fine tune. You didn't have to spend so much time on first trying to.
I didn't like at all being a project manager, just like, and all I was supposed to do was to keep track of the schedule, the budget, and functionality, and not care about the outcome.
Yeah. All right. Hey, maybe last, like, what do you see the trends now? Like, has this topic, has the interest been rising? How do you see people now and corporations? How important do they feel that it is compared to, like, let's say 6, 5, 4 years ago, whatever?
Yeah, wow. Like, I don't know if it even existed in the minds of people, the notion of employee experience 5, 6 years ago. I think like usability and things like that, of course, but now employee experience is it's becoming a strategic concern. A problem I see is that they often don't have structures or ownership of this in organizations. So like there's a lot of the awareness of how important it is increasing, but how do you actually channel that to action? That's a challenge that I see in a lot of organizations.
I also see that there's also a lot of interest, but people don't maybe have the skills. They don't know where to start. So I guess, after this podcast, if somebody's intrigued and they feel that, yes, now we just need a facilitator to actually help us get started. So if people want to get in touch with you, how to do it, and what do you offer, and where do you work? Is it Europe or?
Europe mainly. Unless I can work remotely. I have worked remotely with clients outside of Europe as well, but then you have the time difference. I have 6 kids, so this is reality. But since I do a lot of workshops and coaching, and also work remotely using digital collaboration tools, I see Europe as my sort of Northern Europe and Europe as the region where I operate. And as I said, I do a lot of workshops, facilitation, train the trainer approach.
And is there a website or address or email that people can contact you? I can put it to the show notes so people.
I'm on LinkedIn, of course, but I have a website. It's easier. There's just one website with my URL, which is oscarberg.net.
Okay.
So that's the best way to contact me.
All right.
I'm on Twitter as well, Oscar Berg.
Hey, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure, and also nice to meet you and see you in a long time.
Yeah.
So we have been changing some messages in LinkedIn, but finally we got together to do something.
See you soon again.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.